world we are living in is now a data scientist learning how to speak with a machine.
Hello and welcome to our podcast. Today we have with us Karan, who leads the data science team at Dun& Chalcott India. Karan has been in the field of data science for several years now and has a wealth of experience to share with us. So let's get started and learn from Karan's insights.
Thank you, Nidhi.
Karan, could you please tell us a bit about your journey in the field of data science? How did you get interested in data science and what motivated you to pursue it as a career?
First, I think I'll just talk a little bit about technology. I've been interested in technology pretty much my whole life. Right? The latest, coolest tech was always something that was super interesting to me as a kid. Even when we had those little Nokia phones, when it went from black and white to color, I think I lost my mind. So I've always been interested in technology, and I started writing code at the age of 14. That was all small like software engineering stuff. So a little bit more Java and learning how to write these programs that can do things. And those things were fairly simple at first, but it got me interested in what you can do with a computer through code. And so I decided to pursue that. I had more fun doing that than any other subject. So I thought that's what I need to study and that's what I need to get good at. So yeah, my college journey started with me, just pursuing computer science in general, writing code, learning these programming languages, learning about, operating systems and algorithms and all that kind of stuff. And somewhere in my college journey, I started exploring, ways to solve problems that I was having in my personal life as well. Like just I wouldn't really say personal life, but things that I was doing at home. So I'll give an example. Uh, in the US, there's a basketball league called March Madness. It's a college basketball tournament, and if someone can predict who wins every single game until the final, they get $1 billion or something like that, a ridiculous amount of money because the amount is so ridiculous because it's impossible. It's called March Madness because of how mad the tournament gets. Right? I wanted to predict this. I wanted to see if I can at least take a stab at predicting this. Now, this was quite different from the regular coding stuff, right? Like building a software or building some kind of game or something. That's all different. This is now me trying to analyze data, analyze who plays well against whom, what those matchups look like, and predict who's going to win a game, and then eventually predict the whole tournament. And then I realized I need to learn how to analyze data. That all my software engineering skills, my coding skills were completely different. They're going to help me analyze data, but that's not what I'm doing for this specific project, right? So then I started learning how to write Python code and how to use Python to analyze data, to play around with data, to make these predictions. And that's honestly how I got started in my journey. That project, I got really interested in basketball data, so I did a little bit more with basketball data, with the NBA, just trying to predict who's going to win a game and how the probability of someone winning a game changes over the course of the game. So again, started collecting more data, scraping websites to get that data, scraping player records and player stats, analyzing them, just for fun. This was just for my own understanding of the game of basketball or just sports in general. And another thing that I started doing is we would compete with our friends and play FIFA in college, a lot of FIFA. And I found a FIFA data set that gives you all these stats about players, right? And I downloaded that and then started just playing. I spent maybe a couple of weeks just analyzing the data so that I could beat my friends, get play a better game than them and play manager mode on FIFA and be a manager of a team and win at that, right? Things like that I was doing on my own. And I started ignoring a little bit of my college work and started doing more of this. But that's what got me interested in data. And that's when I decided that I need to change my focus in college from computer science to more data science. And that's how I got into the field of data.
That's really fascinating, Karan. Now let's talk about technology transformation, then and now. So, how has the technology landscape evolved over the years, and what do you see as the biggest trends that are shaping the future of technology?
That's a really heavy question, right? This technology has been transforming so much that we would go on for hours about this, right? Everything from the start of the internet to Web 2.0 and then Web 3.0 and all of these terms, and then cryptocurrency coming in the middle and going away very quickly, I would say. And now there's this boom of generative AI, of Chat GPT and the world of Chat GPT that we live in. So yeah, I think technology is is changing very quickly. I think the current trends in technology definitely is data science, machine learning, and AI. One of the biggest trends now is, and specifically within AI, is generative AI. AI that can generate content that can is not just used to analyze existing data and predict based on existing data, but it's creating content. It's doing something that AI couldn't do in the past, right? And what this new piece of technology is doing as a trend for people, the way humans work, is in the past humans did the first bit of work. They took a project or they took a piece of work from 0 to 1 or from 0 to 90%. And the last 10%, the last 20% maybe was augmented with AI, was augmented with technology. You're doing all the work at the start and then you're using technology to improve that work or to verify something, to review something, to predict something. And that's how technology has been used till now. But now the opposite's happening. The technology is starting to do the first bit of work and humans are then going in to edit and to review, right? So if you take a very simple example of writing a bit of content, in the past you might write the content and then you might have something like maybe a speech review system checking if your English is proper, if your grammar is correct,
Spell check.
if you yeah spell check, stuff like that, and then how you edit that and how you play around with it, and you might have someone reviewing it later on. Now the computer write the content based on how you wanted to write it, and then you go in and see what needs to be changed and edit that. And that's, I think, the difference. I think there's a new trend in technology where technology is going to be doing the first bit of work and humans are then going to be augmenting it rather than the other way around, which has been what we've been seeing so far. So yeah, I think that's what the trend is going to be.
It looks like the tail of a turn.
Yeah, maybe.
That's really interesting, Karan. So now that we have discussed Gen AI, and automation, how do you see the role of data scientist evolving in the future?
It's a really good question. That's a really tricky one. I don't know. I don't know how the roles of a lot of fields are going to evolve, but they're going to change and they're going to get a lot more hybrid. I think data scientists are going to have to pick up a lot of skills that are not just data science related, and so will other industries as well, or other fields, other roles. They're going to have to start picking up bits and pieces from neighboring roles and start getting good at that. For example, up until now, a data scientist would just focus on looking at the data and writing some Python code to build a very, very good model, right? Then the person who's providing the data is a data engineer, and the person who's then deploying that model and handling how to push that to the cloud and all is either a ML ops engineer or a DevOps engineer. But I don't think that's how it's going to be. Now, I think a data scientist is going to have to own that entire practice because writing the code is going to get a lot easier. You're not going to have to spend that much time writing code anymore. You ask ChatGPT or you ask all of these Copilot type solutions to write the bits of code, and all the heavy lifting is done there, and you go in and edit it. You use your data science intuition and your brain and your understanding of the algorithm to tune that code to make it better, right? To optimize it. But the vast chunk of the code is being written by the computer. So now I think data scientists are going to have to learn a few skills, right? They're going to have to learn the neighboring skills around this model building, right? After the model is built, they might have to learn how to use cloud services to deploy it there so that it's available in a production system. They might have to learn a little bit of data engineering skills to get that data available to them. Might have to own that whole process. Additionally, I think they're going to have to learn softer skills. Data scientists, I think, will have to start learning a little bit of project and product management, right? Data scientists need to get good at speaking with stakeholders directly because the world we are living in is now a data scientist learning how to speak with a machine, learning how to ask a machine what they want, like what the data scientist wants, what type of code, what type of solution, and understanding the response from the machine, right? Understanding the response from something like ChatGPT. For that to happen, the data scientist needs to have a complete understanding of what the business problem is. Needs to understand the nuances from the stakeholder of themselves. You know, in the past, data scientists might have just got the requirement through a ticket, and they work on that. But now I think they're gonna have to have direct communication with stakeholders. So your data scientists will need to have much better communication skills, much better like just soft skills in general, managing a project, understanding the requirements, understanding the priorities of what the output needs to be, and managing that as a product and as a project, I think is going to be very key. So not just for data scientists, I think for all technical and engineering related roles, everyone's going to have to pick up these neighboring skill sets, start getting a bit more, start spreading a little bit wider, because a lot of the heavy lifting is going to be done by generative AI.
So basically, one has to become jack of all trades. A little blurred.
Yeah, a little bit. I think you just can't be super focused on one thing. And data science was one of those fields where the data scientists just focused on the model, on writing that code. But now, if that's being done by computers, then I think they're gonna have to
Correct.
widen a little bit and start picking up skills.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like one person will now be doing multiple roles, which might mean that we need fewer people. Is Gen AI really taking over our jobs? Should we be worried? Karan?
That's a question I get asked a lot, to be honest, all the time. Whenever I talk about Gen AI, people immediately are like, "Okay, if computers are going to do everything, what are we going to do?" Uh, I think the answer is yes and no. Yes, Gen AI will take over jobs. Yes, we might need to be worried in the short term. No, we probably don't need to be worried in the long term. And the reason my answer is the way it is because you can't refute you can't refute the fact that it is going to take over jobs. It is going to make some people just be redundant, and the number of people that we need. But what that means is that it'll create new jobs. It'll create jobs that we can't even fathom right now. We don't even know what those jobs will look like. We can't begin to guess because that hasn't happened yet. So if you think of an example, before computers existed or before computers were mainstream, right? People were looking at computers and getting worried that, okay, computers are going to take over jobs. Like, what are we going to do? People who are like manually filling in stuff or writing things or doing a lot of the manual work, what are they going to do now? And everyone was worried, and computers did take over a lot of jobs. But at that time, those people couldn't even fathom that an Android developer would be a job role. Android didn't exist, iOS didn't exist, development, no one knew what that was. No one knew that this is the direction computers are going to go to, and now there are so many new roles because computers exist. So I think that Gen AI shouldn't be any different. It's going to create jobs that we don't know. We don't know that they exist. We don't know what they look like, but they will come up. And people are going to upskill. They're going to have to upskill to stay relevant. They're going to have to learn these new tools, learn these new technologies. And it's our role as Plenum Chankar India, as tech companies in general, to figure out what those roles look like, to figure out what we need from people, what are the skill sets we're looking for, to upskill people on those skill sets, to create those jobs. And I think we'll do it. I think it'll happen. And it's going to be very uncomfortable for a lot of people in the short term. But personally, I'm optimist. I'm an optimist. I don't think should be a major problem in the long term.
Thank you, Karan, for sharing your insights. It was great to learn about your journey in the field of technology and your perspectives on the latest trends and technologies. We hope our listeners found this podcast informative and insightful. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Nidhi. I enjoyed answering the questions. And I think thanks for your time.
We hope our listeners found this podcast informative and insightful. Thank you so much.